Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pilot On podcast. We're back. We're still alive. We're doing this.
Yeah.
How you doing,
It's
babe?
been a few weeks. We've seen each other.
We've
just
seen each
haven't
other
seen...
nonstop.
We just haven't seen anyone else.
And we became reclusive and
No. That's not true. We didn't become reclusive. We're following the rules
got
of
more.
pandemic.
But even social media wise,
Yeah.
we're barely. You're doing stuff.
Not really. I mean, I'm dipping my toe in here and there, but it just feels like every time you dip your toe in, it's like the water stings.
Water is lava.
Water is lava. So I don't want to. I keep trying to think maybe it'll be water this time I dip my toe in, but no, it still stings.
It's terrible. Everything's bad. This is a podcast where it's called Pilot On because we felt that there was a void, a vacuum of podcasts in the market. And so this is the best one. And it's about crappy TV that we've been watching as a way to distract ourselves.
It also depends on your definition of crappy.
Well, I will say, Grace, the episode we watched last night was the greatest episode of reality television I've ever seen. So I guess you're right.
Yeah, should we just dive right in?
I think we should just dive on in.
Okay, we have been watching, if you've watched any of my stories, you know this, but we've been watching Married at First Sight Australia. I think we talked about it the last podcast we did, but very briefly. And we've watched all of the episodes that they have available for this current season.
It's incredible.
And last night's episodes, because they do 2 of them, 1-hour episodes back to back, was so bonkers and stupid and wonderful that I don't know how more people aren't talking about this.
It improved my life. It really made me a happier person.
It is truly what the American version wishes it could be and will never be.
Let's start there, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, but there is such a dichotomy between the Australian version and the American version. Like the American version, you were saying last night, like it's gonna be this season. So the American version just started, and the Australian version is well underway.
And the American version is in New Orleans this season,
and it's already like horrible,
so shitty.
And like because they filmed it in quarantine, you guys. So the judges,
if they didn't.
No,
it looks like they filmed it in quarantine. It looks like they hired...
There's absolutely no way they didn't. What are you saying? You know that they did.
Well, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
No, they absolutely did. They don't deserve any benefit of any doubt.
They couldn't do like party scenes in quarantine. Like they do their bachelorette party. That's why I'm like, they must have had pickup shots that they had to do in quarantine. But I think the majority of at least the beginning was shot before everything happened.
For sure. I think it was like a year and a half ago or something.
Yeah.
That's all fine. But the pickups that they do with the judges, or the, not judges, the experts.
The experts, when they do their confessionals or their talking heads, or them in their homes, clearly like given equipment the way we are filming this right now.
It's inexcusably bad.
And I'm terrible at setting up my own stuff for the last decade to make my own YouTube videos. And even I can say, Dr. Pepper, you're out of focus and the audio's bad.
Yep. This is coming from 2 people who have absolutely no technical understanding of how any of this stuff works. We managed to put the microphones on and the light in the camera.
If this makes it to the internet, it's a miracle every time. But I finally understand all the comments that are like, bad audio makes bad video, Grace, for the last like 7 years of uploading things. And I'm like, yeah, right. It's just the fun content. That matters more than the tech stuff. And no, this really took away.
Well, yeah, so this whole season starts, and it cuts to these people, like, trying to be their normal expert
Wait, are you talking about the American version?
Yeah, and the sound is so off because they're filming it at home, but, like...
And the lighting's all over the place.
It's still not even okay for how bad the circumstances are. It seems like they took the mantra you've had for the past however many years and just said, it doesn't matter. In contrast with the Australian version, which looks like their version
sleek
of
and sexy
Bachelor.
And like it looks like Selling Sunset, that show that you haven't seen on Netflix, that is shot almost like this very sexy movie.
The people are more attractive.
The lighting is soft and helpful, not harsh and
not angry,
distracting.
Not like this lighting that we have.
Well, I kept leaning over to you and saying, you and I could have made this show.
We could make the whole show.
We could run these cameras the way they're running them, the audio the way they're doing it, and the lighting. I think we could have worked really hard and gotten this quality of end product between just the 2 of us doing this. That said, they're doing the best they can. We watch it. We still love it and are consuming it. And it will be a very I can already tell, especially for you, that it's going to be real annoying for you to get through this season. You're
I'm gonna be
already
pretty angry. I'm
you're
gonna say something because I can
perturbed.
already tell you're moving past this, and I'm still a little angry about it. I see you. I see what you're trying to do. Listen, the people in charge of the American version of this show should be embarrassed. That's
Wow.
all I'm saying. It is not okay that they are getting. This is a production company that is receiving copious amounts of money from a television network to create a show that has another version of it elsewhere. And they have made the crappiest homemade version of it, not just this season, previously too. And now it's like they're leaning into how bad they are. It's not cute, it doesn't look good, and it's tough to watch. But also, the people on this season are probably, some of them are serial killers, and other ones are other things that we won't go into right now. We'll be sure to update you as the season progresses, but let's just say there's some weird turtles in this cast.
Do you remember when you didn't like or have any opinions on reality television?
Yeah, I used to be a better, healthier person.
Well, I'm glad
I used
that
to be
you-
the Australian Married at First Sight, and now I'm the American version.
No, the American version just looks very run down compared to the Australian version, which just moves quick, has attractive, charismatic cast members, has just the look of it is sleek and sexy, like I keep saying.
Like they're making a show. Yeah, like a
they're
television show.
Yeah, but they're making a choice to have these bachelorette type of contestants on their show, where I think the Married at First Sight one here is really going for real people. So they say.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's not all about
think
just
it's a
watching
ratio.
attractive people like spiral. I mean, even though a lot of it is that. But which is the whole entirety right now of Married at First Sight Australia.
Let's talk about Married at First Sight Australia.
Oh, man. So first of all, we talked about the difference in these two shows, the American version and the Australian version. Money, care factor,
effort.
the amount of contestants or
Yes.
what are they called? People that sign up
cohort.
for experiments.
Subjects.
They have,
Victims.
I think, 10 or 12 couples that they start out with.
A lot, yeah.
And now they're down to like 4.
So structurally, yeah, there's also stuff that makes more sense in the Australian version because it's a better show in every sense of the word. But one of the differences is that in the Australian version, apparently, people can choose every week whether to stay or to leave.
And I love this concept.
Yes, it's a great concept. So if both of them say leave, they're allowed to leave. But if one of them says stay, then they have to stay for another week to see if they can change their mind. They have to give them another chance. That's lovely. That makes total sense.
I think that's a brilliant add-on to this because sometimes you make an emotional decision in the heat of the moment, but your deep down gut might want a different choice.
Right.
And so if your partner decides to stay, then you have a chance to like see if it really works, or if this is actually an abusive clause that keeps people in bad relationships.
Right, because in the American version, if you can tell someone shouldn't be together and that they should leave and they should go their separate ways, they can't because the show wants them to stay until decision day.
Well, because they don't have enough contestants or subjects to make content for the rest of the season. They're smart because they start with a huge pool of people knowing farewell that like people will drop out. And so they still, even though people are dropping left and right, have enough people to continue the show with content in the end of the final episodes. Whereas the American version, especially last season with Mindy and Zach, you can tell that they're like begging Mindy to stick it out because they truly don't have storylines that will fill 2 hours, which is too long for an episode, worth of content every week.
And it makes the show look like terrible people when they're clearly keeping someone like, what was her name? Mindy. They're keeping her like hostage, and you don't want that. So that leads us all to the best episode of reality television I've ever seen. Came out of nowhere last night. We turned it on. Very excited.
I mean, this season, the one thing that, because there's so many people, they move through storylines so quickly. I think we said this last time that I do wish that they would have spent more time like in moments with people. Like they move through all of their couples so quickly that you only see like 30 seconds of what their relationship is, for better or worse. But I think we're going to see more, obviously, because there's less people involved now. But so this last season, or this last episode, really centered around Haley and David.
Incredible.
I hope some of you out there have watched this and can share in our like
Haley
joy.
and Michael.
Yeah, well, Haley and David are matched, and Michael and Stacy are a matched couple.
So get a load of this, guys.
So get a load of this. First of all, here's some context.
Okay.
Haley and David have had a rocky start from the beginning. She is a recovered drug addict. He is a truck driver. They've butted heads because she's survived and gotten through a lot of her own self-induced hardships with drugs and is very confident and secure in her ability to handle things, and like she's just very confident, and also holds herself like at a higher pedestal than David. She thinks David's like a lowly truck driver that's kind of dumb, and she has him pegged as that, and he's actually like, he's just a okay dude doing his best as far as I can tell. Yeah. It's hard to see, like...
They are definitely not on different planes intellectually.
No, but
one
she
of them
really
perceives them to be.
Yes, exactly. And so they've butted heads, and then they've made up really aggressively, and then they fought really aggressively, and then they've made up really aggressively.
You know, like a toxic relationship
like
that you
every
stay in and,
completely toxic situation.
Over and over, and you repeat yourself over and over again.
And so they seem to be doing really well. From the previous week's episode, they had learned some lessons from the experts. They had heeded some advice. They had made changes in the relationship. And then all of a sudden, the craziest part about this show is that so much happens off camera that they always start the scene with like David in the apartment being like, David and Haley had a fight last night and spent the night in 2 separate apartments. Let's see what happened. And then you get the recap from it, which is crazy. That Haley... apparently hooked up with one of the other husbands.
Okay.
From Michael.
Michael.
From another marriage, because they're all placed in these apartments, all within the same apartment building for the duration of this season.
So Michael and Stacy are gonna do that now. Great. Are you gonna go there? Okay.
Check it out.
Michael and Stacy have seemed like the best couple we've seen on any of these shows. They get along. They're both
beautiful,
very attractive people.
Beautiful, but inside and out, like they look
good-hearted people.
You can write them off as looking like airhead, like model, like Instagram model types, and then they talk and they're very complex and very sweet and very guarded and very vulnerable at the same time.
There is a funny thing where if it's a traditionally attractive person, you can dismiss them as being like morally bankrupt or dumb in some way.
Yeah.
I think people tend to do that. These people seem to be very, very genuine. I stuck up a little bit for Michael at one point because I felt like he sort of represents that bro guy who like still has a goodness to him. So I guess I was wrong. So they opened up and they tell you basically that Stacy went home to take care of her kids. She's got 2 kids,
2 little boys,
and she's also she's been hurt in the past. She lost her
father when she was really
tragic
young.
accident.
So her relationship with men is like very skewed and very sensitive.
Yeah, very sensitive and she's a little gun shy, maybe a little bit. She got walls up, which is a phrase everybody loves to use all the time. Walls. Okay, so then she's going to spend time with her kids. A little break from the show. That's lovely that Australia can even pay for such a thing. In the American version, it's like you're never going to see him again. But she says, let's make an agreement. Don't go out drinking. He's a
party boy.
He's a party boy. He'll go out and start drinking.
Also had a couple occasions where he stayed out too late and they've had a disagreement about it, and he's apologized. He's very one of the most impressive apologists I've ever seen on reality TV.
Yes. It's he said it himself. He was like, Shakespeare couldn't have done a better apology. That was like episode 1. He's apologized like 4 times since then. And Stacy, we keep forgiving him. We keep saying it's okay, Michael. Keep doing your thing.
Charismatic, and he's like disarmingly intelligent, emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, he knows how to like explain a situation really well. He goes out anyway. He starts macking on this girl, Haley, who is a former drug addict, cannot stand her husband.
Yeah.
They apparently kiss, okay, which they use the term hooking up over there, but I guess hooking up, they meant kissing. It seems like they just meant kissing.
I still am not totally sure, but I think they meant kissing, yeah.
Unless they were lying about the show. It seems like that's what they meant.
Who knows?
Stacy then, I guess, hears about this from the other people because this all happened in like a room.
David, Haley's husband, gets a text message from one of the other husbands because Haley and Michael were in one of the other couple's rooms, and they were all partying, and they got so drunk and they made
They
out
wound
or
up
something.
in a room together alone.
So one of the husbands texts Haley's husband, David, who wasn't there, and tells him what happens. And then he contacts Stacy, who's with her children away from the show, and calls her and tells her what happens.
Now, secondhand hearing us talk about this is probably not that interesting.
It's
okay?
very confusing.
It's very confusing, and you're very like, who are these people? Who cares? But the thing is, this show packaged everything we've just told you more succinctly and better than we did in like the first 10 minutes of the episode.
Highly recommend
It's
watching this.
wonderful because it throws you right into it. They skip nothing.
Right.
Out of the gate, they show you Michael, and he's like, yeah, I messed up.
He looks still drunk from the night
Oh,
before.
he's constantly
He
hungover.
always looks like he just did 10 pounds of cocaine and then drank a coffee to try and be okay on camera.
Yeah, he's like a piece of shit that knows he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, he just
He seems like Wolf of Wall Street, but like with mommy issues.
Yeah. Yeah, Wolf of Wall.
Which
yeah.
is why he loves Stacy so much, because she's so maternal.
Exactly what she immediately for. Anyway, so they have this whole situation go down. They have a dinner party. They start freaking out on each other. But here's the thing: all these couples are at this dinner party. Haley, meanwhile, thinks she has an ace up her sleeve.
Yeah, she's talked herself into. Well, she's first gone to Stacy, woman to woman, and owned up to her bad behavior.
What do you think about that, Grace, as a girl? What did you think about that?
It was so fascinating because Stacy is a little bit more reserved, but she read it perfectly. She said in her talking head after Haley like aggressively apologizes and really wants her to know, and like of course everyone behind the cameras, the audience, to know that she's owned up and look how good she is for owning up, and at least she's told her outright, and she knows she made a mistake. Her husband sucks and she doesn't even care about him. She's more concerned about Stacy in this.
So
she
sweet
hates
of
that
her.
Stacy. Oh, how charitable of her to care
person.
about Stacy in this moment.
Easy
And
to care about the person after you.
Yeah, and Stacy, after the conversation, just goes like, her reputation relies on me forgiving her for herself, for Australia, because this show must be, hopefully, is like huge over there. And I love that. I was like, yeah, this woman is manipulating you emotionally to try and get you on her side as like girl power, and your husband is actually the only bad person in this situation.
She's using the victim as a shield.
Yes. Oh, it was so, there's so many layers.
Can't do
and
that.
so then they go into this dinner party, because they have these dinner parties where all the couples get to mingle, which I also think is a great add-in to this whole Australian version.
Absolutely no way the American version could afford it, because whoever is in charge of that production company is pocketing all the money.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the dinner party, Haley comes in and just immediately tells all the couples that her and Michael have kissed. Immediately admits it right away. Meanwhile, completely ignoring and like hating her current husband, David, who's sitting in the room wearing a Riddler button-up green shirt.
It's perfect. Every part of this episode was
So
perfect.
confusing and
It was
wonderful.
truly
So
one of the
stupid.
stupidest shirts you get. It's like a green Riddler shirt, like
Yeah.
exactly what you imagine, with the like not even
For-
a good
and
collar.
no one
like the
talks
collar's
about
all,
it. He doesn't say anything about it.
Yeah, the most you hear is one of their experts, who they actually, is there, just goes, "That's a shirt."
That's a shirt.
But anyway, yeah. So this is all happening. She starts spreading telling the story basically.
She tells it. She admits to it. Again, she's super. You can tell. I think maybe possibly through programs, she's very, very default to admitting mistakes. You know, like
Make
you have
amends.
and no one will judge you except in this situation. Everyone is judging you because you're not in a group setting like that.
You
It's
didn't
a
need
different.
to do this.
This is bad behavior that has consequence. And so then Stacy comes in by herself and kind of like, plays it down a little bit, and Haley tries to go over and comfort her right away, like girl, and Stacy like gets away from her, which I was like, okay, stand your ground. Then Michael comes in, and Michael, they sit at the dinner table. He starts it off with an entire elaborate tail between his legs speech, apologizing in front of everyone to Stacy.
Hitting all the bullet points of a good apology,
It's
like he
truly
does.
like take notes. Like
I
this
don't
guy
expect you
should
to
teach a
forgive me
class.
because I don't forgive myself.
I'll have to
I've
live with
hurt
this
you.
forever.
You've done nothing but good things for me, and I've thrown that away.
My first
and I'm
apology is
ashamed
to
of
Stacy.
myself.
My second apology is to David. This was like just hits all of the, if there was a class on apologizing, all of the points.
Big speech, except it still is kind of like, this little bratty kid is gonna get away with cheating on his wife,
his
like,
wonderful, wonderful wife. And then Haley can't let it rest that he won't admit that they kissed. So she keeps piping in, being like, "So you're not going to say that we kissed? We kissed. Oh, we kissed. Oh, we kissed."
By the way, this is all building to the most insane thing I've ever seen on either of these shows.
So she's going off about this, and then finally Stacy explodes on Haley and basically tells her, like, Stacy explodes on Haley and tells her that, like, you've done something wrong. You are not to be made the victim here. Like, this is truly horrible, and anyone that agrees or thinks that she's like okay in this is equally as bad.
And then Stacey though went real, which it's so like, okay, you see the things that the people do in reality television shows. Sometimes it does so accurately reflect what would actually happen in real life.
Yeah,
that it's wonderful. So Stacey, in doing all this stuff, it was like a roller coaster, being like, she's got it, she's killing it, she's standing up for herself, she's not needing to say this, she's owning it, she's going after the girl who is also responsible for this happening.
Right.
She's articulating herself really well, and then right at the end, she just sort of loses it. I think she gets a little high on the adrenaline, and she starts defending her dude, being like, he was a victim here, and he was like,
she said that he's
vulnerable.
a party boy, and he loves to party, and you took advantage of that.
Nope.
And then everyone was like, "Oh, I don't know about that." But then eventually, as the night went on, people were saying to her that, like, you were really hard on Haley and not as hard on Michael. And then she did actually yell at him in front of everyone and tell him that, like, he doesn't get a pass and that he can't keep hurting her feelings and all that kind of stuff.
And part of Michael, the guy who messed up, was being like, in reference to the "are you going to stay or are you going to go" conversation that happens at the end of every episode, he was basically like, on my card, I'm going to write that I am going to leave. And that way, it's completely up to her whether or not they continue on, right?
Right. He told her, "I'm going to write leave, so it'll be up to you if you'd like."
Gentlemanly move.
Yeah. Like, this is what I'm doing. You know that if you write stay, that we have one more week to work this out. And if you write leave, we are completely done. It's only appropriate that you get to make this decision.
Great move, right? What a great thing.
Classy.
To do. Very classy. So all this is settling down, right? And then we come back to Haley's ace up her sleeve.
Haley, you can see in her face that she's like calculating how to defend herself out of this situation, that she can't possibly be wrong. There's nothing that she actually did that wrong because she's apologized for it. So how could people still think that she is a bad person?
Exactly. She apologized.
You watch just this, like, the math meme of, like,
you can see the veins in her forehead are starting to communicate. She's trying to figure out a way out of it to still look like a good person. And it is, she did the thing where you apologize and you're like, "But I apologize. They can't still be mad at me."
Yeah.
And she's going, even if I did something wrong, I need to find mentally something that someone else did to me, my husband did to me, as a way of shifting the attention.
Chess.
So she, in the most blatant move, which, by the way, this whole scenario, I am watching it, and I don't know about, did you feel this way? Before leading up to this, I was like, this is going to be so embarrassing for her because this is going to fall flat and no one's going to support her with this big thing that this ace up her sleeve.
I actually had no idea. I wasn't sure.
I was thinking it was going to be embarrassing for her. She stands up and she declares that her husband, David, when she was not in the room, took her toothbrush and scrubbed the toilet with it and then put the toothbrush back into her thing.
That classic prank, and he filmed himself doing it, and he sent it to one of the other husbands, who in turn sent it to Haley, and she found out about this, and so this was the thing that she had been sitting on as the most deplorable thing any human could possibly do to another human that could not be ignored, cannot be passed over.
Can you even imagine the level of evil it would
send
take
him to prison
to do something to your cheating partner's toothbrush?
That's
beyond the scope of even comprehension, I would say.
He's awful that he found out that you had forsaken your marriage after he had forgiven you over and over for previous mistakes and, like, tried to work with you, that you had made out with another husband who was married to a genuinely wonderful woman and you ruined her marriage too.
That just happens.
And so, that kind of
Who
stuff.
cares about that?
Happened to the toothbrush.
What about the toothbrush? Explain that.
She stands up. She has the toothbrush in her bra that she's covered in toilet paper because
the totem.
The toilet water is
It's a toilet totem.
And then she throws it at him and announces this in front of everyone.
Hits him.
It's shocking to say the least.
It's also later revealed that she did brush her teeth with that toothbrush.
Women are upset on her behalf, thinking that that's a horrible thing that could happen, which blows my mind. I think everyone's just reacting at this point.
Or you got everyone's drunk and they're like
right,
getting
so
emotional.
Everything is the most scandalous, insane thing ever.
There's this one girl on the show, and she looks a lot like Taika Waititi. Whatever. She has the same expressions as Taika Waititi. And
her name's Connie.
Mm-hmm. Connie bursts into tears over the dirty toothbrush while all these other couples are talking about legitimate infidelity. She's like, you didn't deserve that. And she's like
holding her hand and comforting her, and they're both shaking and crying.
Like women, like in the a moment of like solitude that they're gonna fight against this toothbrush.
This other woman, Michelle, who all the women immediately just take out all of their frustrations that they have with their current husbands on this situation, because Michelle starts comforting Haley. Michelle's like this older woman that's paired with this like kind of terrible older man,
who we just discovered shaves
the front of his head. Only he's got
he shaves it like I think it's kind of like how I have this.
He shaves the top of his forehead.
I have so if I went like that,
a widow's peak, he shaves that back.
Shave the entire thing off.
It's a very strange haircut, but she starts like comforting Haley, being like, you didn't use it, at least you didn't use it, you're okay, you didn't use it. And then she goes, I fucking did, I fucking did, and throws the toothbrush, which she has again somehow in her hand. Throws a napkin.
Yeah, it was a napkin. And also what's funny about throwing the toothbrush at him at dinner, first of all, is that later revealing that she did brush her teeth with it means that like she basically just threw like a clean toothbrush. Like that's a pretty clean toothbrush at that point if you've already cleaned your teeth with toothpaste. But anyway, maybe are we wrong? Is it
I think it's funny.
Because last night we were going to sleep, Grace and I, and like it was like the last thing I said where I was like, it seems like, I mean, it is pretty gross to like scrub somebody's.
But he put it in clean toilet water.
Clean toilet water.
If she saw the video, we saw the video. They played the video on the episode. He literally just dunked it in clean toilet water and put it back in the thing.
And Grace was just like, you were like, yeah, no, it's not that big. It's fine. And also, she cheated on him.
She cheated on her husband. She ruined her marriage. She ruined the man that was actually like put in effort to make this experiment like interesting or try. She ruined a woman who came in genuinely trying to make this experiment work for herself and her children. And she ruined this other guy who, I mean, he ruined it too. But she also ruined the like integrity, which is weird to say, of this experiment in general. Like she just wants to be on TV, fucked around with all of the rules because Haley seems to live in a world in which she doesn't have rules as long as she apologizes for breaking someone else's rules.
Yeah.
Like
a villain. She
is a perfect TV villain because the thing that tops all of this
Here we go.
This is like
I'm still reeling.
You can even.
I don't know what I can talk about.
At this point,
I have to walk out of the room.
Okay. At this point, I can retain the smallest bit of compassion that this woman has been triggered and is acting out and just is having some sort of like meltdown in the confines of this show. And maybe this is not true to her character, etc. I'm reserving that little seed that maybe she's going to get to the ceremony where they decide if they're going to stay or go.
Have some humility.
Have humility, like really, really apologize, really own her shit, and allow people to be upset with her. But we get to the ceremony. First of all, we talked about how Michael had told Stacy that he's going to write leave, so that was up to her. So they get to their conversation. They talk with the experts. There's some like minor breakthroughs or some understanding. It's not volatile, at least. And then Stacy writes leave on her piece of paper, and he fucking writes stay.
So he lied again.
He gives this again another award-nominated speech before he reveals his answer about how he's not going to give up on this relationship, and he came into this with the dedication, and he fell in love with. Oh, he pulled the love card out. That's what made me so mad at him. Is that he pulled the love card out to her before they got to the ceremony. He said, "I hate to say this, but like, I fell in love with you on the honeymoon, which is such a move. It's such a weird, manipulative chess emotional move to be like, I fell in love with you on the honeymoon. Of course, she's falling for that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. She still wants to. She's so hurt, this poor woman, who she's just like.
She just wants to be loved and provided for and taken care of and like protected.
Has done nothing.
Nothing
but have
wrong.
Standards.
Yeah, she's forgiven him. And he says all this. Then she still writes leave. So I have this momentary pride for Stacy for going, yes, you deserve to leave. Stand up for yourself. Don't fall victim onto his spell of charisma and just like this, like I keep saying, love chess, manipulative chess. And so she says leave, and then he says stay. And you can tell that she's like upset at first, and then she just, because she's a good sport, she like takes it on the chin and like doesn't fight against it too much.
Here's my prediction.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to stay together ultimately. And I think that they're going to have a very, very long relationship that is mostly enjoyable. And I think throughout it, she is constantly going to be getting really pissed off at the dumb crap that he does. And I think she just is going to, my worry is that she's not going to be able to walk away.
I have a different prediction. I think as soon as the show ends, she's leaving.
I hope so, because she deserves better, and that's a piece of shit move. And
unless
it's a piece
he
of shit
does
move.
some miraculous, unless he consistently does miraculous things for her, because she says like, you can never hurt me again. Like if this is what we're doing, like you can never hurt me again. But I think he's gonna.
Will.
I think as soon as the show ends, he's gonna be a party boy, and she's gonna be a mom, and it's not gonna work out.
Also, like okay, so there's a thing where it's like. So he says he's not going to go out partying. He goes out and he parties. That's a bad move. You said you weren't going to do it. Don't do it. You can't do it. You did it. That's bad. He goes out and does it with people who are on the same television show as him. So obviously it's probably going to get back. He keeps drinking and drinking and drinking to the point that he can't remember what happened.
If they kissed or not. But Haley is very steadfast.
Haley's very adamant, and they were alone together, and it's very clear they probably did something, if not worse. Then, whatever. They did something. It never should have happened. He hates her. He hates this Haley girl. Like
Michael does, yeah. He's not attracted to her. He throws her under the bus in his apologies.
Right. So if he's going out and he's essentially cheating on his spouse who's out of town with someone he doesn't even like, what would happen if she's out of town and he comes in contact with someone he does like and is attracted to and would be happy in his mind with?
It's a bad combo unless he makes some miraculous lifestyle change, personality change. I don't know that this is going to work out. And I just hope that Stacy maybe gets some joyful moments out of it while she can, and then is strong enough to leave as soon as the show's over. Because otherwise she's just wasting her time and energy. And she already has 2 little boys. She doesn't need a third one that's a husband.
Unless, and this is tinfoil cap stuff, what if the, like the, Love is Blind guy, how he was like, the 34-year-old woman who kept mentioning her name being 34, who was like an alcoholic, could forget all this stuff. And how it was revealed that he actually was like a terrible asshole and was cheating on her the entire time. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah,
what?
It's crazy. The whole thing got flipped upside down, and apparently...
Okay, we're going to talk about this on the future episode, because we have to get to the end of this episode.
But I have to tell you about this, though.
This is okay.
Hang on.
Okay.
Keep riffing.
I have nothing to riff about. I want to just talk about the Haley of it all in this episode.
Mark from Love is Blind reveals what you didn't see from his relationship with Jessica. And it was all about it. And I said, all right, well, we'll cut it out. You're right. I'm not prepared for it.
Yeah, let's do this next week when you can prepare and tell me all about it.
Well, I'm just saying, if it's like that with Stacey.
I saw a headline that Jessica has a new love. Anyway.
Good for her. I hope everyone finds love and hope they're happy.
Okay. Anyway, we're on this train right now. Let's not jump ship because we're on a train. So
that would be just
and that would be just like a Mission Impossible scene or something.
Jumping from a train onto a ship would be like jumping from the American version of this show. Or no, the Australian version. They showed that trash heap. That is the American version. So anyway, they decide they're going to stay together for a week.
So they're stuck together for a week, and then we have David and Haley's turn on the couch. David could not be more over it. Like, at least for him, he's so emotionally disconnected. He can't even be hurt by her actions anymore.
Every clip of David is just him going, I can't wait to get out of here as quickly as possible.
And he's the one.
Terrible.
All of the signs were there because he is the one from the honeymoon that has the perfect quote that was like, if I had a ticket to the airport, I will walk there until my feet bled.
It's like these people, man. These
He
Australians
he
are
knew.
hilarious.
It's great.
Australian people they cut through so much bullshit.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They're all so charming too and charismatic, and it's hard to tell like the type of person they are because the accents are all the same. But anyway, so they're on the couch. He's so over it. He like just can't wait until they wrap for lunch. Like he couldn't be less interested. And Haley's sitting there. You can tell she's still calculating. She's still all of that. And then she goes into this very forthright, it's like she's doing a monologue for an acting class that she again tells the story of this unbelievably decrepit behavior that he's had, this deplorable, this like targeted like evilness that he's shown by taking her toothbrush and putting it in a toilet.
And the thing they keep all saying is like, she could have gotten sick.
She could have gotten like, very sick.
Yeah, I guess.
Sure, but he could have brain sickness from being triggered with infidelity for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he could be allergic to dumb, and maybe he has a reaction to that because this woman speaks like someone who's
conviction.
So much conviction with absolutely no self-awareness and no understanding of like.
But she'll tell you how self-aware she is and how good she is and how much she's overcome, and like every single time she talks, she ends with a full monologue of her entire life story. And we got it. Like we definitely got it, Haley. We got it.
Haley, we got it.
We got it. And then she ends her dramatic speech that is so targeted at his evil behavior that she goes, and I want to see you suffer. You should be punished for this. And so I'm not going to write leave. I'm writing stay. And she writes stay, and everyone's like, what?
She said stay. He said leave, forcing this man to stay
in the experiment for a week with her
at this show in this room with this person, so that he could quote sit and think about what he had done.
It's insane.
She cheated on this man.
And then Stacy starts screaming from the sidelines, like, let him leave. At least I wrote leave. Like, let him go. What are you doing? Meanwhile,
she's being spiteful.
Yeah, she's being spiteful.
Like,
and everyone in the room is cringed up like a bunch of dried up accordions. Like wonderful. Everyone's just like folding in on themselves.
I was on the couch just being like,
yeah, I was like, I like every faculty in my body just froze for a moment. I was like, I can't believe this.
It truly was
this woman is out Haleying herself right now. It was so unbelievable. Everyone's just frozen looking around. And then finally the experts are like, this is an incredibly toxic relationship, and it would do a disservice to the integrity of this experiment if we actually let you stay, so we can't let you do this. And we were all like, thank God, because otherwise you're just encouraging abusive relationships.
I actually probably wouldn't. I would have refused to watch at least the next episode.
Right.
I would be like, you can't do that to people. That's not okay. Especially because this woman has already ruined the other marriage too.
Right.
They're all in the same building.
She's just a Tasmanian devil coming in and ruining everyone's. Because at that point, if you're one of the wives, of course you go, well, I don't want her to hang out with my husband, which happened with one of the other couples weeks before. One of the girls who had been cheated on in the past, Kathy, in previous relationships, who's very insecure about like her significant other looking at other people. At one of the dinner parties, her husband Josh was talking with Haley, and they ended up getting in a fight that night because she got really insecure about it. And in my mind, I'm like, Kathy, your sensors weren't off.
Picking up a little something.
Yeah.
And so, they eventually let that poor man free after weeks of being like, I just won't go to the airport with my shoes off or whatever.
I'll walk to the airport till my feet bleed. I know. This is like, I wish the American version could have done that for Mindy. Like, I really wish that they could.
Oh, yeah. But also, this woman is like, she got to a point as a villain where it was like, you have to go now because I like a good reality television show villain, but this person was like,
it was so
really, really kind of evil.
Yeah, it was like when you gave a child the opportunity to run a company for the day, and they would just started making like childlike requests that they'd be like, For lunch, everyone gets endless ice cream. And they're like, actually, our budget, we can't do that. Okay. Well, we're going to take away all the desks and everyone gets new cars. It's like, no, we can't. We can no longer allow you to do this.
We need you to go home now. No, I'm going to stay for another week
I'm
and
gonna
think about
stay
how you're wrong.
I make all the money and no one makes any money.
This, it also, like...
It was so wild. And then, of course, in that moment, to save her own face, she, like, backtracks and tries to do the... I'm sorry, I just reacted in the heat of the moment. I really had no plans other than to just, like, sit in the hotel room and just, like, you know, hang out and, like, let him think about, and then maybe we could talk. Like, she just starts winding herself up trying to make it look like, well, I didn't really mean that. I didn't actually mean that as my answer.
That also came after he stuck his landing and did the very smart thing. I think he took a cue from Michael's playbook and was like, he apologized for the toothbrush thing. It was like, I shouldn't have done that. And I was like, there you go, man. Eat your humble pie. Don't scrub your partner's toothbrush in the toilet or whatever. That's good. And then she, like, the look on her face when he was coming out like the good guy.
Because he also wished
you saw her whole face turn red. Tears started popping out. And then all of a sudden the tone totally changed. And she was like, I wasn't going to really do
Well, she malfunctioned. Because he also said in his apology that... he wishes her the best, truly. And he did have some good moments, and he learned a lot about himself, and he's thankful for the experiment. He doesn't regret it completely. You could see her, like, steam coming from all of her mechanical joints of her fully malfunctioning because he was getting the upper hand and her true colors were being seen by everyone.
Beautiful.
That she just started crying.
She couldn't, she was, malfunctioning is the perfect, she was short-circuited.
Yeah, exactly.
Sparks were flying out of her little
all
devil
of her
arms.
backup plans weren't working, and everyone still thought that she was a bad person.
Yep. Oh,
and
man.
You could just watch her thinking about how it's going to play out on television for all of Australia to watch, and now America.
Yeah.
I mean, wild.
Look, don't... And shame on Michael, you know? I mean, I don't like
I
end up having to defend... this is the opposite of the thing where I called the guy the devil. What's his name? Mindy and Zach. I called Zach the devil. That maybe was too harsh. But I praised Michael and was like, it's cool when bros have, like, good hearts. This dude is screwing up left and right.
Yeah.
He's done it probably his whole life, and he's going to keep doing it, and Stacey deserves better than that.
I agree. Because I couldn't sleep last night before we were falling asleep, and I, like, tapped you on the shoulder and, like, whispered to you. I was like, the crazy part is that we think Haley did something absolutely juvenile and, like, temper tantrum insane by saying stay when she knows full right that they're not going to work out. But Michael did the same exact thing to Stacey by telling her he's going to write leave and then actually writing stay because he knows that he manipulated her.
But it's
and
different.
So there's part of me.
And he did manipulate her because she had to, like he said, she had to write leave regardless. She knew she had to write leave.
But he told her previously that he's writing leave. So he lied to her.
But it didn't change her. He did. Yes, he did lie. And that's bad.
And that's a form of manipulation.
He didn't do it as a way of there was no vindictive part of him doing that. That was him being clever, I think, so that he could keep her.
But it's still manipulative.
Yeah, but she was looking to punish this guy.
I know, that's what I mean.
Publicly shame him.
There is a difference, but they're not that dramatically different maneuvers from each other.
No, the only difference is that Michael is still attracted to the person he got paired with.
Michael, I think,
that's it.
is a total fool and doesn't realize how great of a match he got, even though he keeps saying it. I don't know that he actually believes it in his heart of hearts yet. Maybe this will change him. Who knows? It was wild. It was also unexpected because these shows move so fast that it was just like it started gearing up and then it just skyrocketed to the moon.
It was perfect couple hours of reality TV.
It kept heightening on itself. It was great.
But we are keeping an eye on the American version, guys. Don't worry. We're going to keep you updated on the whole thing. And
let us know if you guys are watching the Australian one, by the way, because
yes,
I highly recommend it.
Way better. Go back and you can watch them on maybe we can... I don't know, maybe Hulu. I don't know, I can Google it, but it's very good.
It's on Lifetime.
We've been watching other things, but that's mostly it. We've taken a break from Survivor because we just got through so many of the...
We've been watching the scripted version of Survivor, which is called Lost.
Yes, or as you call it, this show is insane. Is that what you said? Or no? This show is bananas. This show's bonk. You said a bunch of stuff when because they're getting to the part now in the hatch.
The show has no rules.
No, it does
Zero
not.
rules. Just right. Yeah. Everything's Australian.
You get...
We're good.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to this. Feel free to subscribe on iTunes to the Pilot On podcast, as well as Spotify. And you can see the videos here at youtube.com/ElliotMorgan. You can check out Grace at youtube.com/itsgrace. And you can also check out other stuff I do at youtube.com/The Valley Folk. Goose, do you want to plug your
She's out of here.
All right.
She does it. She's just been wanting to be acknowledged for 45 minutes by hovering in the background.
And in the moment, yeah. Good luck to everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.